Hello students, I am Mahmoud Khudayshkur from Mamun University. Today I'm going to explain you about the IELTS test. First of all, what is IELTS? IELTS is an international English language testing system, and it's applied for different purposes, and there are some organizations who organizes the test. Who administers the IELTS? There are two organizations in our country we can apply for the IELTS test. The first one is the British Council from the UK, and the IDP, and the Australian organization. We can apply for both organizations, and we can take the same certificate from the both organizations. IELTS is applied for different purposes, as I have already mentioned, and first for immigration purposes, and you can apply for general training, and for academic purposes, for example, for higher education or for some other academic purposes, you can apply for academic types of the IELTS test. It's called academic IELTS, and there are some differences between the general training and the academic training, and in the following we are going to look at one by one. So test structure in both types of the IELTS the same, but there are some differences. First, we have 4 types of sections to assess 4 skills of the candidate, and in the first section the listening comprehension is evaluated, and there are some criteria to evaluate it. And the reading comprehension as well, we have in the reading comprehension we have some questions, and the third one is the writing section, and writing competence is assessed by the test. And then the second, the last one, the speaking section. In the speaking section, the students are evaluated according to their communication and their understanding of the language. As I've told, the first section is the listening, and in the listening there are 40 questions and 4 parts. In the first part there are 10 questions, and in the first part there are 2 people discussion, and we can listen and we can fill some kinds of gap fillings. And in this section we have some minutes, and it's overall 30 minutes plus 10 minutes to transfer the answers to the answer sheet. And in the first section of the listening test, we should be able to understand the conversation on social or semi-official topic between 2 people. And the second part, a monologue about a social topic, for example, maps, or some kinds of explanations will be given in the second part. And the third part, we have a conversation on between 2 to 4 speakers, and they usually discuss about an academic topic. For example, tutor and some students and some professors discuss some dissertation topics, for example. And the third part is the conversation, and the fourth part is a university-style presentation. It's like a lecture, and it's the longest part and in the most difficult part in the listening section. And let's move on to the reading one. The reading section also 60 minutes, and we will be given 40 questions and 3 passages. And the first passage is the easiest one, and the second passage is more difficult, and the third passage is the most difficult usually. And there are some types of question types, and there are a few question types that we should look into before applying for the IELTS test. For example, true, false, not given, headings, and multiple choice questions, and sentence completion, and etc. 40 questions are distributed over 3 sections. For example, in the first passage there are 13 questions, and the second passage also 13, but the last passage usually will be 14 questions. Let's move on to the general the differences between the academic and general training reading sessions. The speaking will be the same, and the speaking we will have the same questions on both general and academic IELTS, but the reading is different. For example, reading passages in the academic session of the IELTS test, there will be 3 passages for magazines, journals, or newspapers. But general training, there are 3 passages from the notices, ads, and magazines and books. About the difficulty level, comparatively difficult, it is academic test, and the general training will be much easier than the academic one. The time will be the same, 16 minutes on each of the types of trainings. Number of questions, there are 40 questions on each type of tests. Not the last one, the semi-final, the writing part. And in the writing part, we will be given 60 minutes, and in this part, we should write two pieces of writings. And the first one is part 1, and we will be given, for example, if it's about academic training, we will be given a chart where different types of diagrams that we should describe. But when it comes to describe the general training of the writing test, we will be given some writings, some types of writings, for example, complaint letter or some other types of official letters. Time allowed, there will be 60 minutes in each of the types of the writings. Also, the format of the questions will be different on academic level, as I've already told, and the difficulty level also, the academic training will be more difficult, but the general training will be easier. And word limit, let's talk about the word limit. There are 150 words for graph and chart, and 250 words for the essay. And in general training will be the same, like 150 words for graph and chart, and for example for the letters, and 250 words for the essay. It will be the same as the academic training writing. And the last one is about the speaking skill. There are 4. Let's talk about the time first. It will be from 10 to 15 minutes, and there will be 3 parts, and in the first part it will be like interview, and the examiner will give some questions, will ask some questions about the candidate, and it's like to warm up, and after they get used to each other, after a while there will be the second part. In the second part, it's a long run, it's like a marathon, and the candidate should talk for 2 minutes, but the candidate will be given 1 minute to talk about, to prepare for the question and that cue card, and they talk for 2 minutes, and the examiner just listen. And at the end of the second part, the examiner may ask a few questions, whether it's learned by heart or not, to check the candidate's ability to talk. And in the third part of the IELTS test, the examiner, it's like a discussion, and the examiner asks more difficult questions than the first and the second parts, and the candidate should answer all the questions and should be able to discuss some difficult and abstract topics. And also, the assessment criteria will be the same on 3 parts. And first, the grammar will be assessed. It should consist 25% of the mark, and the fluency also, and pronunciation and vocabulary. It includes 25% of the evaluation part of the IELTS test. So thank you for your attention. It's all about the IELTS test and the criteria and some other assessment parts. And thank you for your attention. Thank you.